Happy Sunday. I'm Diane Cornegie, Superintendent of Lake County Schools. So last week, I proposed an idea for consideration by the school board to address the spread of COVID-19 in our schools and lower the number of students testing positive, thereby reducing the number of students being sent home due to an exposure. Today, I want to take a minute to share the details of the plan with you. But first, I want to address the issue I have heard most often from our parents, teachers, and our students. We have all seen an alarming number of students having to quarantine. I will note that this is the trend across every school district in Florida and across our country. Everyone is concerned about the high numbers of mostly healthy students that are out of school for an extended period of time, and for some, they are exposed multiple times, taking them in and out of school, all the while losing valuable instructional time and causing disruptions in our schools, our classrooms, and in your homes. The emergency rule that was issued by the Florida Surgeon General on August 6th specifically addresses who and when a student or staff member must quarantine. This is the current law for contact tracing and quarantining that we are required to follow, so our hands are tied. The State Department of Health has told us which tests can be used for asymptomatic and symptomatic staff and students to return to school. Some new tests have been approved recently by the Department of Health, and parents will now receive a new, more easily understood letter to help them with the quarantine guidelines. September 15th, a new Surgeon General is expected to consider amending the current emergency rule and hopefully address the growing concerns of the high numbers of students going in and out of quarantines and the learning loss that's happening when students are out of school. But for now, we've been told that we must not vary from the emergency rule. So as I said, last week I made a recommendation to the board that I wanted to share with all of you. First, it's important to note that when making the plan, we looked at lots of data from each of our schools and found a wide range of impact. Some schools have shown less than 1% of the student population testing positive since school began. Others are as high as 8%. So rather than a one-size-fits-all approach, the plan uses a data-driven system targeted to address the varying numbers of students and staff who test positive within a particular school. Think of it this way. If the fire alarm goes off at Treadway Elementary, we don't evacuate the students over at Beverly Shores Elementary, but we certainly react to the alarm at Treadway. Looking at the data, we can see that at Treadway Elementary, 8.27% of their staff and students have tested positive over the past 2 weeks, while less than 2% have tested positive at Beverly Shores. So here's the recommendation. Any school where fewer than 3% of the students and staff have tested positive, such as they did at Beverly Shores, would be classified as green. We would continue to encourage students and staff to wear a mask and follow all other precautions to mitigate the spread of the virus. Any schools where 3 to 4.9% have tested positive, they would be identified as yellow. They are in the caution zone. In these schools, we will closely monitor their cases, looking at connections and trends, and we will increase cleaning protocols, continue to strongly encourage masks, and make sure that the parents, students, and staff are aware of the potential issues in hopes that everyone will be mindful of the increasing concerns and take action. Any school where 5% or more of the students have tested positive over the 2-week period would be classified as red. Students, parents, and staff would be notified, and masks would be required until the percentage drops below 5 and is maintained for 14 calendar days. With that said, I want to remind you that Governor DeSantis passed an executive order prohibiting school districts from implementing a mask requirement without allowing parents to opt out. Then a judge ruled that the governor's order was unconstitutional. The judge's final order was filed last Thursday, and the state then took immediate action to appeal, and the judge's order was automatically stayed. So as I speak to you today, the governor's executive order remains the law. Our school board has voted by majority to adhere to this law, so with my proposal, parents would be allowed to opt out of the mask requirement if their school is in the red zone. However, I'm hoping that when parents are made aware of the increases in their cases, everyone will strongly consider having their child to wear a mask, just until the rates go back down. This is a fluid situation that we are monitoring closely and following the guidance of our school board attorney. And if the law changes, I have recommended that the staff and students in the schools that fall into the red zone be required to wear a mask, except for those who present a medical opt-out from a licensed physician. If at any time in the future the law changes and this portion of the recommendation is approved, Parents who do not want their child to wear a mask but are unable to obtain a medical exemption could choose to allow their child to learn at home while being marked present. Those students could complete assignments through Google Classroom with the help of teachers from our new Lake Assist after-hours student support program until the cases within their school drop below 5%. So that's it in a nutshell. A risk-based, data-driven system that is targeted rather than sweeping in its approach to help slow the spread of the virus and reduce the growing numbers of students being sent home for quarantines. The school board will meet to discuss and vote on this proposal at 9:30 a.m. Thursday, September 9th at the Lake County Administration Building. Despite our very best efforts to schedule an evening meeting this week, the BCC building has no evening availability, which was certainly the preference of the board. The BCC building is the best location because of its capacity and its security. It also allows us to live stream the meeting and offer online public input. I know we won't reach full consensus on this plan, or any other plan for that matter, but I am hoping that this is one that we can all decide we can live with. I want to thank you for your continued involvement and support of Lake County Schools.